Hi, how are you?
Good. How you doing?
I'm good. When was the last time we talked was like early the bread bakey days of the pandemic. Remember that? Like I was doing the TV
Oh,
show from
yes.
home. It was
Yes.
yeah.
A lot of people learning how to play the piano, how to all of a sudden paint like an artist. Everyone was all of a sudden breaking out. They're like, what am I going to learn over the next 6 weeks will probably all it lasts. So I really got to maximize my new skill.
I didn't keep any of it up. I didn't bake any more bread. I didn't keep any of my new skills up.
But you made a lot of bread.
Made a
Like
lot of bread.
you could have opened a bakery, man. You committed hard. You had a yeast section of your home.
I could have started a bakery based on quantity but not quality. That would have been the name of the bakery. Quantity, not lots of bread, just none of it's any good. What were those
Oh, it's
early days of the
hilarious.
pandemic like for you?
Well, I like so many were just sort of like, how long is this going to last? And wondering, I just knew, I knew right away that I wasn't going to be prolific. I think I'm too sensitive, man. I knew that I experienced like a sort of a version of depression, I guess. I don't know, where I thought, okay, well, how is this going to affect my kids? How do I keep up? How do I continue? And I'm sure everyone feels this pressure of like, these are the prime moments of my life, and how am I supposed to continue my development? And I didn't feel motivated. I felt a panic and I felt a depression for it.
So how does that exist in the realm of also having to write a show?
That's a very good question.
Poorly.
Well, we partly, as it turns out, yeah, we all sort of were ignorant at the time, right? We had no idea. We started a room, we started a writer's room in person, and because we all sort of, while the pandemic did, while coronavirus did exist, none of us really knew the extent. And then in March, when we were already scheduled to break to draft scripts, is when the world shut down. So we all sort of went to our, homes and wrote, and we were writing a world that didn't have coronavirus in it. And then when we re-met, it was like this, it was virtually, and we realized we hadn't really addressed it. So we had to sort of wrap our brains around, what do you want to see in the show that you love? If you're returning to a show that you adore, do you want to see everyone in masks? Do you want to see everyone sanitizing and 6 feet apart? Not me. I can't even watch Grey's Anatomy. I can't watch masks. I want to see people doing what they used to do. And I'm hoping that this season delivers on that.
A lot of the series has been about moms who are trying to find a balance between being at home with their kids and working and trying to have a normal life. These days, it's hard not to look at work as a sort of luxury in itself. It's hard to find time for any kind of separation right now. I have a good example of that. I want to play something for you. Take a listen to this.
Okay.
Hello, this is Catherine Reitman, and I am answering questions for today's parent. And that is Jackson blowing a balloon. Okay, how does a typical day in lockdown look like for you and your family? Usually me trying to do a piece for press while my son blows up an enormous red balloon. It's going to pop, buddy, and it's going to scare you. It's going to scare the life out of you. It's pretty funny. It was a pretty funny fart noise.
That's my guest, Catherine Reitman. Catherine, what are we hearing right there?
I was doing, this was a couple days ago, I was doing a piece for today's parent, and I don't have a lock on my office door. I'm very lucky to even have an office, which I can identify, but it doesn't have a lock on it, and it's right next to my kids' rooms where they're, virtually in school. So they pop in and, release fart balloons into my office, and they don't understand what I'm doing. So they're just like, hey, well, Mom, I haven't gone to the bathroom yet today. I'm like, okay, well, go have at it. Give me 6 minutes. And they don't understand time nor privacy.
So I'm understanding more and more, and tell me more and more about setting this in the post-COVID world. Not only do you not want to see masks on screen, but you want to imagine what your life is going to be like after this.
Absolutely. I mean, I know I'm not alone when I say, like, I miss leaving my house, not just for social interactions, just for me. Just to get a break, just to be able to breathe on my own, whether it's in my car or in my office, or hell, just having an interview with someone else in person. I miss sitting across from you, Tom, where we could just talk and I didn't have to worry that behind me, my 7-year-old is going to come in and show me the amount of goldfish she has left to eat. Because that's a very real possibility, Tom.
So how do you go about imagining this world? I mean, we're imagining it every day.
Yes. You mean for the show?
Yeah.
I mean, for the show, it just became I didn't want to see it. We weighed our responsibilities, because some would argue that it's our responsibility as artists to show and represent what's happening, right? And Workin Moms has been such a mirror of real life mom experiences. Is it somehow irresponsible to not portray what we're all going through as working parents and working moms at home, where we're having to do it all, but within the confines of our house? But for me, that's not the purpose of the show. The show is entertainment. The show is meant to make you laugh and, yeah, sometimes make you cry, but to have a cathartic experience. And it's difficult to do that if I'm showing you the limitations that you're currently living in.
Yeah, but that being said, what you're not doing here is going to a future where there was no COVID. I mean, I'm going to play a clip here right now. No one's wearing a mask. The kids are in school. Restaurants are open with no plastic barriers between tables, but the lockdown is still kind of there. Take a listen to this.
Did you know that quarantine was the most challenging chapter of their marriage? Sure was.
Is that true? Dude, I'm so sorry.
No,
I should have
it's
reached
fine.
out
Hey,
more.
it's fine. It's totally, no, don't worry. Well, I can see why she wanted to move here. I mean, you guys aren't really friends at all.
That's Catherine Reitman in a new series of Workin Moms. Season 5 is coming up, available to stream on CBC Gem. It'll be available on Netflix later this year. That's kind of fun, Catherine, isn't it? To imagine not just what the world will be like when it goes back to normal, but the comedy that will happen when we have to look back on this lockdown.
Yes. And I mean, look, this is an imaginary world, right? Where COVID happened, but there are clearly no visual repercussions. But for us, we didn't want to have masks. So we created a world that masks no longer existed, but we wanted to be able to address it and then get beyond it. So basically in the first, 2 minutes of the show, COVID hits, and then it's, a card that says it's now months later after the world reopens. And we don't see masks and we don't see social distancing, but we see the emotional ramifications, right? Like, a lot of us feel disconnected from our friends. And I Zoom all day. I Zoom for work. And so I don't want to Zoom with friends. I'm not one of those people that's like, let's Zoom happy hour and do a Zoom talent show and Zoom. I don't know. People are playing, I know, like code names and board games. And
that is a waking nightmare. That sounds awful to me.
Not my bag, Tom. I don't want to do that. And so I feel disconnected from my friends. And I just have this panic and fear that we're going to get back to interactions, hopefully one day. And I won't know what happened. I'll feel disconnected from them. And I feel like there's going to be this sort of alienating element to all of our social interactions that we're going to have to overcome.
Pandemic aside, what other stories were you hoping to tell in season 5?
Season 5 is a lot of fun. Kate, my character, has a new mentor, Sloane, who's this like extraordinary Black woman, this force that Kate, we sort of believe, the audience is led to believe that if Kate hadn't gotten married and had children, this could have been her. 2 ships in the night, right? Like, this could have been, if you were just able to continue to follow your career and be indulgent and go after your own dreams and not have to make any sort of personal sacrifices, what would that look like? And it's exciting, but also there's, ramifications to that.
It's been a pretty wild ride here. I think you came in, I think the show has been on the air as long as I've been hosting Q. I think you came in for the beginning of the show or something like that. And since then, it's gone from being like a Canadian success to being, thanks to Netflix, being viewed all over the world and really resonating with a lot of people, but in particular, working moms. What have you heard from folks, and what does that mean to you?
It's extraordinary. I mean, look, I think I remember telling you this when we were wee babies 5 years ago, but I didn't think anyone would connect to the show. I was really nervous because it's not like I was like, oh, what about if I told a sitcom about 2 people who live in a house and the neighbor? This was based on really personal, painful experiences that I wanted to draw light to. And the fact that people connected to it, not just in Toronto or on my street, but internationally in India and Italy. And it's wild. It's wild. And it makes me feel like more stories of mothers should be told.
Talk to me a little bit about the challenges of filming this during COVID-19.
Holy moly. Yeah, it was hard. It's really alienating. We shot it for 2 months in the fall, right after schools returned. So it's when there was like a little, I don't even know what peaks are anymore. I feel like we're constantly in a peak, but it was one of the peaks because it was right after schools opened up. And it was, we got tested twice a week. We were constantly in masks until the director said action. And it was really challenging. We had to, at first there was like these trust issues where I didn't really trust anyone around me, because what were they doing on the weekends and what were they doing when they got home? And we were all responsible for each other. If one person got it, we all got it. That was the fear. But in fact, that wasn't the reality. One person did get it and we didn't have to shut down, and we were able to isolate that person. And by the end, we had this like unbelievable bond that I've never had in the 5 years making this show.
In the show portrays the post-pandemic world as in months from now, and as we know, we're a year from now, and we're still in the middle of this pandemic, which is, dare I say, Catherine, a bit of a bummer. But
Yep.
I mean, I hate to curse on the air, but it's a bit of a bummer.
It is a bummer.
What do you hope that working parents who are home with their kids might take from watching the new season of Working Moms?
Oh God, I want you to laugh. I want you to have some fun. I want you to go back to watching women in silk skirts blasted through glass ceilings and going after their dreams and swearing at each other and meeting at bars, and have a good time. Pour yourself a glass of wine or soda water or whatever your dry January experience is, and have fun. That's my wish for you when you watch this show.
What do you miss the most about making Working Moms under normal circumstances?
Oh, human touch. There was just a general terror that I know I'm not the only one who's feeling it. And please, there's, frontline workers and people who experience about 1,000, 1,000,000 times the terror that I'm feeling. But yeah, I miss being able to go in and block a scene and just be able to touch each other and get close. And, my character has very close relationship with Anne, for instance, on the show, and we had to be very careful about our blocking. And she and I were in the same bubble, which was fabulous, but still we had to be careful. And that's, writer's room. I miss being able to sit together and, throw against the wall and see what sticks. Sorry, that was an actual swear word.
That's all right. It's
Believe
CBC. You can kind of, it's okay. Don't worry about it. It's early enough.
Bummer. What a bummer.
We got to stick to bummer. Catherine, I think that more than ever, the idea of art as escape has never been so important as it has during this pandemic. And I love the idea of what you did here, which was create that escape through what we hopefully one day will experience. So thanks so much for your time, and congrats on the show.
Thanks, Tom.